Welcome to Minecraft, a game that really does not need any introduction. But just in case, there's a world filled with countless years of exploration through the deepest of caves and highest of heights, with some of the more relaxing and then brutal achievements in gaming. And today you will see just how I 100%ed it. Before getting started, all of these videos could take me a little while to make. So if you do enjoy, don't forget to leave a like, and if you are new as well and would like some more, make sure to subscribe. I also stream all of these videos over on Twitch, which the link to that and my Discord will be in the description below. Spawning into our world for the first time, we ended up on the beach with a vast ocean behind us and on the edge of a sparse jungle. A few things beforehand is this video won't be following a format like hardcore, because I honestly die all the time, or 100 days, because if you look on Minecraft on YouTube, every video is already a 100 days. And if you're curious about mods, it's only sodium to increase performance, better F3 menu, camera zoom, and shulker box tooltips, while the rest are just compatibility mods. So nothing game changing has been added in here. Now, participating in the legendary start of Minecraft that is punching our first tree down, I was hit with a shock that collecting wood is in fact not an achievement. I really could have sworn it was. But with the wood, we got down our first crafting table, and having the ocean being so close, I made a boat and some doors to explore any shipwrecks for early iron. The first boat had a treasure map for later, and the second one had a junk chest, some trims, and a duplicate map, but most importantly, our first achievement with a few iron bars to collect. And while exploring more of the ocean, there's a ruined nether portal that had some obsidian that could be collected, as I went for the treasure map next, which held a diamond for us. I will have to say, I definitely was not expecting these to be our first few achievements. Yet when heading home, night was already falling upon us, and because I neglected looking for wool, it was instead time to defend ourselves with a shield, sword, and suiting up in some iron armor. As we looked for sheep, we were given more opportunities to defeat our first zombie and also block our first arrow from a skeleton with the shield. Searching for these sheep was impossible, to the point they just did not exist in this area. See, I did not mean to do that. Can we tame a dog with one bone? Oh my god! Run! I can't pick him up! Now, with the help of our new companion, we were able to fight our way through the night without any issues. With the iron from the ships, I made my first iron pickaxe in order to start mining and collecting up some cobblestone, so that we could begin making other stone tools and get a chest system started. And with that, it's time to start looking for more sheep before nightfall. I made sure to kill any wild cows we came across to get a head start with leather, found these new little flower patches that I actually thought looked really nice in this update, and soon after found a dark oak forest and made sure to collect the saplings before leaving. But night 2 was already here and there were still no sheep in sight. So I decided to stick to the water for some extra safety, which led me to an outpost which had a village pretty close by, where we took refuge and could finally get to sleep. The best part though was all the hay bales to be collected for a stable amount of early game food, along with the farm for some carrots and potatoes. And just to be a helpful traveler, I even replanted some of their seeds. And while on the way back home, there were some spruce trees that I of course had to collect into being the best wood in the game. And with that, it seemed like a pretty good time to build our house to upgrade from just a few boxes on the beach. So I started by clearing out all the jungle trees in the area, collected a whole bunch of cobblestone to begin smelting it down, and then not only boated, but ran thousands of blocks to try something new with mangrove trees. And while the journey was long, the finds were few and far between. There's a village with a few diamonds for us, a cherry blossom biome, and a mushroom biome that I know a few players would kill to have, as it was surrounded by not one, not two, not even three, but 4 ocean monuments all around it in a square. I don't know about you, but I have never seen anything like this before. Continuing on from that, a thunderstorm started as we pretty soon found our way into a village, which was the perfect time for an achievement. But for the first time in Minecraft history, I could not find any copper within a timely manner. We did eventually get the lightning rod placed down though, but right after the storm ended up passing, missing our chance for this, which was fine for now. At least shortly after, we did find a mangrove biome as we collected some of the saplings to then spend 30 minutes making the journey all the way back home, when I remembered that I do technically need to make a stone pickaxe, and then got to building. Yeah, so it was gonna be a lot larger and extend fully, but turns out that collecting mangrove wood is the worst experience ever, so I shifted into an open concept house. While building, we did also get our first trade with the wandering trader for some extra logs, and afterwards we built up a dock and went fishing. And did I forget how long it took to fish when you don't have any enchantments or boosters on your rod? But after a while, I was able to find just what I wanted with the name tag for later use. But halfway through that, some pillagers did spawn in, so we started dealing with all of the lackeys and then also took out their raid captain. And from pillagers to villagers, we could use the leads and the boats for transportations to a new lavish home with walls, a nice area and community, but most importantly protection from the outside world, also known as my basement. Although for now the villagers are pretty useless, so I instead pointed my attention to farming with potatoes, carrots, wheat, and cows that I started breeding for food. And even though this farm did take me a little while to make with just stone tools, it would go almost completely unused this entire playthrough. With that, mining was next on the list as I used the diamonds to make a pickaxe and get digging. I started just digging down as I can't stand how long it takes to get all the way up and down with the stairs, because now I could just hop down our hole whenever we needed to. I did stop early at -30 as I was hoping to find a cave more than diamonds right now. But to my very welcome surprise, after even not that much strip mining, we were able to hit a vein on diamonds pretty quickly. For now I only collected 2, then harvesting some obsidian as well, we got down our enchanting table. My main goal was to keep on re-rolling the table until I got fortune to collect resources more efficiently. But I was again back in the mines for lapis after running out, and it took a pretty long while to find any, literally down to my last torch. But the search would be so worth it later. We also came across a spawner, which is always pretty cool too. With that all done though, we did finally find our fortune and killed mobs and traded with the residents to gain more XP. And with fortune now in our possession, let me tell you why that lapis search was so worth it. Because again, I didn't find just 1 diamond vein, not 2, not even 3 or 4, and believe it or not even 5, but 6 veins of diamond ores, giving us almost a stack of diamonds with little to no searching instantly. Even better, that mob spawner had a mending book in it, and our luck in this world isn't even close to done yet. So with no reason not to, I got together a whole suit of diamond armor and also threw some basic enchantments on them, with some notable ones being protection 4 pants, infinity, and feather falling 3, with the rest of the gear being some lighter stuff for the time being. We needed to use some lava and a few more willing participants for our next task as we were building an iron farm. This one might be pretty slow, but more importantly, it's small and really easy to build. I'm not needing loads of iron for anything, plus I can build this farm off the top of my head, so it's useful enough. And after all of that, I wanted to see what my nether situation was looking like. Okay. This is such an unfortunate biome to spawn in. Oh my god! Oh my god! I take it back! Thank you, game! Oh my god, that is nice. Right by a fortress. This place could only be better if the blaze spawner was like enclosed. The ones that are in the open stress me out. Oh my god. I love this place. I made sure to stop by the nether wart farm and pick some up for future brewing, and while exploring I saw a wart forest biome just across the fortress, so it looked like a good place to get some pearls. And after that, we were pretty much set for the dragon fight, which is probably the easiest setup I have ever had in any world. I made some gapples just for safety, collected building blocks, and got some fireworks for a future elytra as it was time to throw the first eye. And again, we got super lucky with this stronghold being only a little over 1,000 blocks away from spawn. While digging down, we came across our first amethyst and took this as a chance to craft ourselves a spyglass as we landed in the stronghold. The actual portal was pretty difficult to find. Before that though, we made a nether portal to connect it later and then powered up the end. Oh my god, this is such a nice spawn. There's... With the loudest Minecraft experience behind us, we grabbed up the dragon egg and headed through a gateway with the world's sketchiest spawn ever. But now it's time for one of the roughest things in Minecraft, looking for end cities and bridging over the void. We actually came across one relatively fast, but on closer inspection there wasn't a ship connected to it, which was a huge hit in motivation. But turning around within render distance, there's another city that actually had a ship this time. So we made our way inside the city and through any shulkers in our path, crawled into the ship and collected some of these regen potions, and could claim our sweet baby elytra in about 20 minutes, which for me is insanely fast, as my average time is probably about 2 to 3 hours of looking and hundreds of eaten chorus fruit. Back at home, I put mending and unbreaking on it with all of the books I've been finding, and then we were once again in the end to start getting an actual XP farm made for some help. What? Oh my god, dude, we were falling like definitely slow enough. That's such an annoying way to die, but that is exactly why I am not playing hardcore. With that of all things being my first death, I am a little salty, but I could make it back to all of my items pretty easily at least, and even get the Enderman farm finished up. See, I wasn't expecting it to work so well. Well then, thankfully all we needed to do was fly away from the platform, and all of them did end up despawning, as we had a real way to collect a lot of XP easily now. And with that XP, I could reliably start enchanting my gear, as we had everything almost fully maxed out on enchantments. And at this point, there really wasn't anything else to do but for us to start going all in for all of these achievements. First things first, it was time for the grueling process of spending about 20 minutes re-rolling a librarian for mending books. For some reason I thought I should breed the villagers, probably just as an excuse to use that farm, but afterwards we did bring in a zombie to infect him, and also played witch doctor to cure him back up, which reduced the cost to 1 emerald, which was shocking. I really should have been curing villagers years ago. So I bought up all the books I need and went to put mending on every piece of my gear before continuing villager stuff with a raid. There are a few good achievements we could grab within a raid as well, like shooting and also killing a pillager with a crossbow, and a few unique enemies to kill like the Ravager, Vex, and Evokers. Ooh, credit! Oh my god! First one that we killed! Dude, that is so lucky! I was not lying about that being the first trident drown I've killed, by the way. But shortly after that, I could finally finish the way longer than I remember raid. Like, annoyingly so, too much longer than it should be raid. But for something more peaceful now, we moved to the bees. We bred them up for easily the most adorable baby mob in this game. Collected some honey from the hive. At night when they were all sleeping, we could pick up a hive with 3 bees inside of it. After a while, I could make a honey block and slide down against it. And the last thing with honeycombs was wax on and wax off the copper block. Next is now time for all of the cats and dogs to be tamed up, with the Tabby, Calico, Jelly, Tuxedo, the supposedly red cat, the Savannah Wolf, Siamese cat, British short hair, Forest Wolf, White cat, and Persian cat. You little bitch. I was so dead if I couldn't hear that. Oh my god. So being one-shot by a creeper for about the 500th time, I got geared up as it was time to travel about 8,000 blocks by foot. Thankfully, the creeper didn't set off any of the TNT, and I was able to collect everything back to start looking for the rest of the pets, with the ragdoll and surprisingly black cat, as we finished up with all of the cats. The wolves are what really suck though, as just because you find the biome doesn't mean whatsoever you're finding the wolf. I did soon find the taiga and spruce taiga wolves before finding some goats and putting them in a boat when I found out you can spin super fast in a boat on ice. But the last wolves with the pine taiga, snowy taiga, and grove wolves were pretty hard. And I am not joking when I say they don't even compare to how hard it was to find the wooded Badlands wolf. This thing was borderline impossible to find, as it pretty much refused to spawn in any of the Badlands I found myself in. But finally, after about 4 total hours, I could find it and tame up all of the different cats and dog breeds out there. For some simpler ones, I grabbed my spyglass and got some good shots of a parrot and a ghast as well before sniping it with a pretty long range return. The ghast actually took quite a while to find, that I ended up finding a bastion and all of the nether biomes before it. And once back at home, it was time for a diet way more diverse than my own. For some more fun ones, I grabbed a fish with a bucket, and then also the surprisingly elusive axolotl with one. And then from every food item, it's time to breed every animal with the turtle, battlefield chickens, pigs, sheep, cats, horses, rabbits, armadillos, the goats, then a horse and a donkey for a mule, which is kinda where I messed up. I bred them for a second mule and then waited 20 minutes for both of the mules to grow up. But mules don't breed, so take note. So we moved on with camels, donkeys, dogs, foxes, frogs, and then finally found 2 ocelots in the same area after searching a bunch of jungles. One was just a baby though, so I leaded it up while waiting for it to grow and went back out to look for some pandas, where we actually got pretty lucky with 2 of them being right by each other. But heading back home, the ocelots somehow managed to break the lead, which I have never seen just happen without any player interference. I could find them both again, thankfully, and this time just put them in boats while waiting for it to grow up so that we could get to breeding them next too. After, we needed to create some brushes and start sifting through the suspicious blocks for sniffer eggs. Eventually I found out that you can only find them in suspicious sand and not gravel. So I stopped by the desert temple to start looking through the sand when I did a little bit more research and saw it's only suspicious sand in the warm oceans. Although while looking for one, we did run into our first set of llamas to breed them up before finding our ocean. And once I did manage to brush the correct type of sand, I ended up getting a sniffer egg on my first try, and also got the second one about 2 to 3 minutes later, letting us place down the eggs for them to hatch into little snifflets. But unlike other creatures who only take about 20 minutes to grow, sniffers take up to 40, so it's time to do some other stuff while waiting. We can use the brush on armadillos in order to collect scutes, which can be used to make dog armor. And after damaging said armor, it could be repaired with more scutes and could also be taken off with the use of shears. Next up was the search for a mushroom island, and I didn't really take any mental notes of the ones I've seen, so it took a little while to find. There's gotta be one by these 2 ocean monuments. There's gonna be one right here. Oh my god! After that god tier level of prediction, I could check mushrooms off of the list and could continue doing that with axolotls, and in the nether could also breed hoglins and striders, which left sniffers for last. But while waiting on them, another thunderstorm started up, so I quickly grabbed my trident, put channeling on it, and could then turn a villager into a witch, throw it at a creature, and could also protect a villager from a lightning strike, even though it turned into a witch. I mean, I'll take it though. After all that, I flew down my lush cave because at the bottom there was a deep dark for us to explore so that we could grab sneak 100 and spread some skulk with some XP. This was a little bad news for us though because of the adventure time achievement where we needed to explore every biome. Because of all the searching I've been doing, I only had 1 biome left and I was really confident that it would be the deep dark. But now we have a random biome on the loose to find. And seeing how we were still waiting on the sniffers, I went to look for more random biomes just to be safe, mainly with all of the oceans and different plain biomes like the sunflower plains and meadows, with no luck yet. But on a good note, the sniffers were all grown up. We mostly just had to wait for them to pick a spot on the ground to sniff up seeds when we got some pitcher pods, but they aren't usable for breeding, so I tried planting them, which happened to be an achievement on its own, and grew them up next, but the flower wasn't what we needed either. So I waited a little bit longer for them to keep sniffing up for torchflower seeds to breed up the last creatures we needed, and also made sure to place down the egg before flying off to find our last biome. I will confess that I did use some outside resources to find out which biome I was missing and where it was after ages of flying to other biomes I thought it could be. And it's no wonder I haven't found it yet, because it's the wind-swept gravelly hills. On top of that, the closest one being about 8,000 blocks away from spawn. But once back home, I can start blasting through some easier achievements, like feeding a torchflower seed to a baby snifflet, killing a skeleton over 50 blocks away, then setting up a target block to hit a bullseye from 30 blocks away. Trying to do it from a long way really was not going successful at all, even after a while of trying. So I instead tried shooting it from 30 blocks above it with still no luck, because the arrows are a little too random from this distance. So I instead put a trap door on top of the target, connected to a redstone switch over 30 blocks away, shot a bunch of arrows into the door, and then flipped the switch from far enough away. Next was playing music in a meadow biome, connecting a compass to a lodestone, crafting a crafter to then stand by the crafter while it crafts another crafter, make an iron golem, dug all the way down to the bottom of the world to then do the inverse and build all the way to height limit as we jumped off the tower with a totem in hand, used a glow sack on a sign, killed a drown with the help of an axolotl, walked on powdered snow with leather boots, and then used a comparator to read the power level of a bookshelf. Now, while mining down earlier, we actually came across a trial chamber completely by accident. So I thought it was a good time to start cleaning out the achievements here by scraping off a copper bulb, deflecting a breeze ball back at a breeze, opening a normal vault, and then also opened a few ominous vaults in the attempt to get a mace with no luck yet. But that was all with the chambers for now, as we moved on to making a decorative pot, connected some dispensers together with breeze balls to launch ourselves up more than 8 blocks, and then used our first armor trim on our chestplate. Heading into the end, we had a bit of a hard one. By baiting shulkers to attack and avoiding all the projectiles, I could build up enough of them that if I was to slowly use them one by one, I could fly up high enough away from the first attack. It says 50 blocks away, but this feels a lot more than 50. But regardless, collecting a chicken, cow, pig, and 2 kinds of fish. We could poison all of them, which lets us kill 5 different types of creatures at once with a piercing arrow. Back to the nether, we started mining out a pretty long pathway, but surprisingly through the path, we ended up finding some netherite, which I didn't even know could spawn at Y level 59. But once the tunnel was long enough, we got a portal down, and heading through, we traveled over 7,000 blocks in the overworld with the nether. Then started doing some trading with piglins to collect some crying obsidian, which could be made into a respawn anchor that we could fully power up with some glowstone. Mounted a strider for the first time ever since their addition so that we could boost it along with a fungus on a stick, and then also traded with piglins while not wearing any gold armor. Next was some more villager work as we used a lead on a boat so that we could build all the way up to build height, and somehow in one try I was able to get a villager to cooperate enough to trade at the world limit. And don't worry, I didn't leave them there either. I also started putting together a wool farm. Not a massive one, but one big enough to help with future requirements. Back in the nether though, we collected a lot of lava and found our way back to that strider from before so that I could bring him into the overworld, where I made a pretty long lava lake and also miscalculated the height of a strider, but we were able to ride him far enough in lava outside of the nether. Next is a kinda weird and also overly annoying achievement. I needed to breed the frogs again for some tadpoles, and frogs only lay the tadpoles when close to water. Yet for some reason, these frogs absolutely refused to lay the tadpoles. So we went to a different swamp and got together some breeding grounds and started collecting all the tadpoles we needed. I then took said tadpole and brought it over to the snow biome as we waited a little while for it to grow up and then could lead the last frog variant. I say this one's weird because it's not like you need to lead them up all at the same time or anything. You could lead them up real life days apart from each other and it would still count. But moving on, I finally remembered to stop sleeping and get some phantoms to spawn in so that I could could trap them both in a boat and with a few shots kill them both with one arrow. And that's about the last of the small stuff for now, as we were moving on to the really big things. The search started with a fortress, mainly a fortress within a soul sand biome, so that we could hunt wither skeletons with some more efficiency. It did take us a little while before getting our first skull, but after that we ended up getting the second and third one pretty soon after. And if you haven't guessed it yet, we're going for the how did we get here achievement, where we need to have every single status effect at once. And you'll see why soon. This story isn't exactly one of triumph. We started by brewing up all of the different potion effects that we needed before going on what could be the worst search ever for a real deep dark. I checked the one by the lush cave to see if it had any screeches around, and with no luck it was instantly worrying, as we really needed this biome to be close to spawn. And thankfully we could find one just a little bit further from the first one, which meant we had darkness solved now. Next we grabbed ourselves a few sacrifices and used those skulls to spawn in the wither and power through the easy fight for another star, and more importantly some wither roses for the wither effect. And thanks to the iron farm, we had all of the iron blocks we needed in order to make a maxed beacon for the haste and regeneration buff. Now we took some time to get a fully enchanted fishing rod, because we spent the next 2 hours and 45 minutes fishing for nautilus shells. We used that fishing rod over 850 times just on fishing, by the way. After finishing up all of that though, I located an ocean monument that was close to home for mining fatigue, and then started with the worst part in this whole prep work and finding the 4 ominous potions I needed for Bad Omen, Trial Omen, Raid Omen, and Hero of the Village. A few reasons why this sucks. Pillager captains always spawn with the raid parties. Raid parties happen anytime after 5 days from the last one. I am easily over 100 days and I have only ever seen one party. The best way I found to do it was to just fly in and out of the render distance over and over again and hope that the raid captains actually spawn in. But the spawn is crazy inconsistent that even after a long time, I only had half of the potions I needed. I'm not even kidding you, the search got so bad and boring that a viewer helped me learn how to use the pie chart so that I could start finding trial chambers without having to buy the maps. And once inside, we could get the last 2 potions very easily for some peace. Next, it was time to make the cave safer to prevent mobs from spawning, and do one of my least favorite things ever with disabling all of the skulk sensors in the area so that we could get ready for once it's time. It also felt like a pretty good idea to make a tunnel that leads all the way from the ocean to inside of the cave. It did take a little while to mine out, but because there's a few mobs we need to bring down into the cave, it would be much easier to just boat them along the whole way to avoid them or I dying a few hundred more times. After finishing, we got the beacon and the conduit achievement ready, went to a village so that we could get a villager inside of a hole, and surprisingly started making a chunk loader for some assistance too, because dolphins are really weird. As we all know, dolphins give dolphins grace and need both water and air to survive. Too much or too little of one and it'll die. Well, when you unload chunks or leave an area, it also unloads any water, meaning that after a few minutes the dolphins will eventually die as it's just suspended in air regardless. But the chunk loader will now prevent any water from being unloaded, solving our problem. The next mob was a little more worrying to deal with, as we now needed to bring the shulker to the overworld. But the absolute goat that I am, I was able to figure out how to fly without snapping a lead, which made it so much easier to drag the shulker into the portal and into the overworld for levitation. And I blocked it off with some TNT, as even with the mining fatigue we'll have, we can still insta mine TNT blocks. Next was making some spectral arrows for glowing, and the last thing we needed was suspicious stew for blindness. Fuck me, man. Oh, I hate this. Alright, let's get this started. Oh, yes, finally. Me mining fatigue. What is this? Fuck me, it's so bad. I can't tell what I have. Do I have levitation? I don't know what it looks like. I'm checking the fucking thing. Levitation is just a cloud. No, I don't. Why is this not working? I can't eat! I can't eat! I can't eat! Dude, no fucking way. So yeah, safe to say that attempt was outrageously bad. Using the potions at the wrong time, not getting darkness, eating the food in the wrong order, it was bad. Hey, but go figure, this is my first ever attempt at this achievement. But also, this achievement was so extremely stressful. I think of every other game I have played so far, I can only think of one other achievement that really made me feel sick to my stomach from anxiety while doing it. Although the real worst part was the prep work I needed to do again because it could take hours. So just knowing that that is what I had planned, it was really putting me off as I defeatedly ended stream that day. I decided to take some time off stream to brew up more potions and farming more pillagers for a few hours until we were ready to try again. A few things first though. Sensors and screechers only reach each other within a 6-block gap, which is why it didn't work before. So I marked down the spot that I needed, and then the reason why I needed to kill the villager from before was for raid omen, killing him and then getting bad omen. But I found out that if there's a whole chunk between you and the villager, you'll get bad omen instead of raid omen. So hopefully these will be enough to try again successfully. Please be the end, please be the end, please be the end. Yes, okay. No, 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 no! Oh my god! Yeah, letting that shulker out a little too early definitely screwed me over so hard there. To make it even worse, a warden ended up spawning and killing the shulker, but the dolphin at least did live. The dolphin, by the way, that does give me dolphin's grace, as you can see happening right here. I just really want you to remember that for me. So now we're just back to doing prep work. Some lucky pillagers and vaults made the potions really easy, but we did need to get an extra potion and start doing ominous trials so that we could get an ominous key to replace our enchanted golden apple that we need. And again back in the end so that we could bring a replacement shulker back as well. And to not have to stress about the glowing arrows and shooting myself as well, I made a dispenser to fire for me so that I wouldn't have to think about that anymore. And after a few more hours of prep, we were back again for attempt number 3. What? Dude, what was I missing? What am I missing? So that was it. That would have been the achievement, but for some reason, the dolphin who was very much still alive, refused to give me Dolphin's Grace. So after a whole lot of contemplating, I decided to just give myself the achievement. Unlike the first, second, and even a fourth attempt that I tried, all being my fault for not working, it really killed me when the game decided to just screw me over instead when it was going so good. For a little extra context, I did try doing backups so that when I messed up, I could just reload from after doing all of the prep work, but I couldn't really figure out all of the save files. Because of that, this is the only segment where I did stuff off stream because the grind and process of doing all of the prep work over and over again was so tedious and boring. On top of that, Minecraft took me 66 hours to 100%. I spent 14 of those hours doing this. That is over 20% of the time for this one thing. So at this point, I was done because my motivation to even continue this video was starting to wane while doing this. And right now, there's nothing more I wanted to do than just get back to doing anything else, as I started with killing the rest of the hostile creatures with the Stray, Elder Guardian, and Guardian, dragged a Hoglin through the portal to kill a Zoglin, an Endermite, and the last one was the new Creaking as we destroyed its heart in the tree to secure the achievement. And surprisingly, the Warden actually isn't on this list. You can't even argue that it's because it's a boss slash mini boss, because the Guardian, Wither, and Dragon are also on this list. I went into a creative world just to test it, and when looking at the achievement tracker after, it was still on 0. It's pretty weird, but I am not complaining. Moving on now, we crafted some end crystals in order to spawn in the Ender Dragon again, which is actually a pretty fun fight to do while you have the Elytra to fly around with. And now that wool farm could get put to some good use to craft up a whole lot of beds, start doing some netherite mining. It was going okay, but once the beds ran dry and it was just mining, the progress just stopped. But I did eventually remember that I need the new upgrade templates for netherite, so I went over to the bastion to see if I could find the templates and the last netherite pieces. But I am so inexperienced with bastions, and brutes scare the hell out of me, so I spent like an hour here just taking my time. But reaching the bottom, I did look out with exactly what I needed for everything and could safely make my way back home, where I mined all the diamonds I've been collecting, duplicated the templates, and got to netherriting all of my armor and the most valuable tool with the hoe. And I'd have to say that the fit goes hard. But dropping back into trial chambers, it's now time for the mace. I started out in all of my older ones just to grind out a bunch of ominous keys so that I would be able to open vault after vault without having to wait too long in between. Give it to me. Mace. Yes, sir! Oh my god! Let's fucking go. That didn't even take that long. All I can say is thank God for the pie chart. I had to find a few new chambers to find more vaults to open up, and it just saves so much time for me to deal with any of the villagers. I do gotta say thank you to the person who taught me it. Now I could create the legendary weapon with the mace, throw density on it for more damage, and then need to kill something from a height, which might have taken a few tries. Oh! There we go. The next achievements are one I would have never even assumed existed if it wasn't for the wiki, because they are in fact hidden achievements where we have to give an allay a cake, drop another cake, and then ring a note block for it to drop the extra cake to then pick up the dropped cake. I would be shocked if a real person did this achievement with no knowledge of it existing. But from that, it's now time to collect all of the rare trims, as we already had the sprite one from previously. So we started in the woodland mansion for the Vex trim, killed a handful of elder guardians until getting the tide trim, then needed a trial ruin. Thankfully, when looking for a mangrove biome at the start of it all, I ran across one and made a mental note of it, and then proceeded to get the wayfinder trim instantly on search. It was like my 5th block and at the start of the ruin, but good times weren't to last as we were in the Nether again, and even worse, we were in bastions. It took a while to search a few of them with caution, but after a little while we did find our snout trim, but we still had one more to search for the fortress. It was rough just to find a fortress. Then just because you find one doesn't mean you're going to be finding a chest, and just because you find a chest doesn't mean you're going to be finding the trim. But on my last leg before I needed to go and resupply, I was able to collect the rib trim, as our next place was one even worse than the Nether. I'm gonna make this known, I actually hate wardens. They are easily my least favorite thing in this game, and to me feel like the most out of place mob of them all, and are also really boring to deal with. And the actual act of finding ancient cities isn't much better, because all you got to go off of are the mountains, which you just dig down to find a deep dark dud, then fly to another mountain, strip mine for a few hundred blocks so that you can finally find an ancient city, just to move at a snail's pace because spawning the warden is unbearable, and then opening some of the worst chests imaginable with pointless loot. But after a while, I was able to find the ward trim, and a long while after that, I collected the rarest trim with silence. And with our freedom finally back to us, I started putting all of the different trims onto our armor, and I'll have to say that this accidental combination is absolutely beautiful. But now it's time for our last 2 achievements. I collected a whole lot of obsidian and made my way back to the frogs, as we wanted these guys in the Nether. But slowing down might still need a little bit of practice. So instead, I thought to be a little smarter, and I grabbed a magma cubes and brought it back to the portal instead, as we collected our first of 3 frog lights. 4. I hate sweeping edge. I hate sweeping edge. So we collected another magma cube, and this time didn't kill it ourselves for the 2nd frog light. And heading back to the snow where we boxed our last frog, we participated in a drive-by boating to collect the last of 3 lights. And picking them up all at once, we could have the achievement for having all 3 in our inventory. And I can't be the only person who's noticed that the best light sources in this game are always the most annoying ones to collect. But now it is time for our last achievement, as we are back into the Nether, building a really big portal so that we could bring a ghast into the overworld and slay it. My plan was to fly around and just use the fishing pole to pull ghasts around and through the portal, which sometimes worked well. But ghasts have a habit of just always moving away from you, so what would mostly happen is you pull a ghast some, and then by the time you fly back around to pull it again, it would be even further than it was when you started. Actually, I ended up getting extremely close once, but for the life of me, I could not get this ghast to go up even a little bit to go over the 1 block of obsidian. Another thing you can do with the wrong timing is fishing up the fire charge, which deflects it back and kills your ghast. But right as I was going to try something else, a ghast spawns right at my portal. No fucking way our fishing rod breaks, dude. So with that pretty minor and only kind of frustrating turnip, I collected a whole bunch of blocks to move on to plan B, the Nether roof. We flew to another waste biome, built a pretty large spawn platform, put a cage on top so the ghast couldn't fly away, set up our portal, and then we just sat and waited at a high enough altitude until a ghast felt like spawning in for us. Oh, this works. Yay! Let's go. go. We're all done. That's Minecraft. Oh yeah. And with 206 days and 6 deaths, that is how I 100%ed Minecraft. Honestly, a pretty enjoyable way to spend my 2-week phase again. But real thoughts, the difficulty spike from everything else to how did we get here is honestly insane. But if you did make it to the end, thank you all for watching. Again, if you would like more, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out all of the other countless games we've 100%ed to. The link to my Twitch and Discord will be down below in the description, as I hope you all have a fantastic day.